Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies. Oh, this place. Steve should never have opened this place again. There's been too much trouble here. Did you know that a young boy drowned the year before those two others were killed? The counselors weren't paying any attention. They were making love while that young boy drowned. His name was Jason. I am Jason. You see, Jason was my son, and today is his birthday. You let him drown. You never paid any attention. Look what you did to him.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I am your lovable, unhinged host, Adam the Movie Guy, and we're going back to Camp Crystal Lake for this Friday the 13th special, where I talk about all things Friday the 13th till I'm blue in the fucking face. Now, the last time I did an episode of the series back in December 13th, which, holy shit, I went a whole 6 months without doing a Friday the 13th related episode. I'm shocked. Friday the 13th is my favorite horror film series, and Jason Voorhees is my favorite slasher movie villain, and the very idea of not talking about the series that long is alien to me. But I'm going to make up for it with this episode, since the topics of discussion are going to be the following. I'm going to list my top 5 favorite locations from the films. Next, I'm going to list my top 13 kills in the series. Then I'm going to briefly talk about my thoughts about this alleged Friday the 13th TV series, if that ever fucking happens. And I'm tying into that. I'm going to get into a few unmade or straight up canceled Friday the 13th films and my thoughts on those. And finally, I'm going to flash review the New Line era trilogy of films consisting of Jason Goes to Hell, aka Friday the 13th Part 9, aka the one where Jason is a slug thing that possesses people. No, I swear to God, that actually does happen. I didn't just make that shit up. Look it up. Then I'm gonna do Jason X, the future one set in space where Jason becomes a cyborg. Seriously, didn't make this up. And finally, the end of the original series of films before the series inevitably rebooted, Freddy vs. Jason, where Jason takes on Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. There's a lot to talk about, so everybody join me by the campfire as I inevitably lose my shit as I talk all things Friday the 13th. And most importantly, you gotta get into the right mindset for this franchise. So to help out with that, I have something very special for you all. I have a Friday the 13th rap song for you all performed by the legend himself, Alex Edwards from the Skeleton Crew, now Dead Man's Party Show. This guy is the fucking man, let me tell you. He is a huge Friday the 13th guy like myself, and he performed this great rap covering the events of Friday the 13th Part 1 through 4. Now, a tiny bit of origin story behind my love of the Skeleton Crew show, and I'm gonna slip off my unhinged crude persona for a moment. I'm taking off the mask, folks, for this one, so this is now the real Adam talking. I've been a steady listener since about early 2014 when I discovered their podcast, and at the time, I was going through a bit of a rough patch with my life since my mother shortly got diagnosed with kidney disease around October of that year, and unfortunately, she did die just a couple years later, and I was just in a dark place mentally and emotionally for some time, and the old Skeleton Crew episodes really helped cheer me up while listening to them, since I'm a huge horror movie guy like my mom was, and it was something that we bonded over. So I just wanted to thank all the members of the Skeleton Crew for bringing me so much joy over the years, especially when I was at my lowest. Now let me slip back into my unhinged persona and kick the show off properly with a kick-ass Friday the 13th rap song performed by Alex Edwards. Let's fucking go.
Jason, Friday the 13th, the Skeleton Crew, one time, no chorus, that story goes. One day in 1957, Jason drowns at the young age of 11. The counselors ain't hear nothing, they were too busy fucking. He gasped for his last breath, trying to reach for something. That was all they saw, this kid was reported drowned. They searched Crystal Lake, but his body was never found. Mom broke down and cried, her only son died. While little Jason, that's all she had in her life. Mommy just snapped, she said, I'm getting him back. Time heals all wounds, but she never could adapt to the fact her baby boy is never coming back. Those two responsible assholes, you better watch the back. But they didn't, they're dead, their bodies are laying in the mud. I'd like to welcome you all to Camp Blood. It's only time they find out what it's all about. Now it's time, it's lights out, and no one's getting out. Home would like you all to gather around the fire. He just spit the legend, didn't know he was a liar. Jason's back with a hole in the sack, and he's got his eye on the packing knack. Red pot, slingshot, pop him in the asses. No matter how hot these bitches, they don't get no passes. And the perfume is spraying down your pants as the spear goes through you in the middle of your dance. Skinny dips with hot chicks, drinking at the bars, almost getting laid in wheelchairs. You won't live to see the scars. No one's gonna heal. This is the real deal. You won't get out alive. You won't believe the pain you will feel. Shit, I ain't gonna lie. 3D, OG, now everybody's raving. Shit's coming right at me, going to Higgins Haven. Oh damn, now wait a minute, did Jason shave his head with a pick? What do you mean the end of part 2 was a dream? This shit was epic. Chocolate donuts, drinking some Sunny D. Harold, your gray pants are too tight. No, not on you, you asshole. Jason. Yes, Jason. He took that shit last night. There goes Shelly again, acting like a dick. Stop playing games, how you expect to fuck this Spanish chick? I'll say one good thing about my boy Shelly. He proved he got some guts inside that belly. But shit, oh shit, he pissed off a bunch of bikers. They tracked him down, poured gas around, Bunko and Fox, where are the fucking lighters? We got harpoons and handstands walking down the halls. Boy, you wanna mess around, you get slipped between the balls. Everyone likes this sport because Jason got his ass. Chris hanged him, killed him. Whoa, wait, oh shit. Whoa, not so fast. Let's cut the crap and then this rap in the final chapter. Let's cut to the twins and the douchebag trying to get him blasted. But first I'm pissed, this thing called me a dead fuck. But Ted, I dated Betty, you know I got my dick sucked. Let's roll back 2 movies ago. Remember Sandra from part 2? Well, time to meet her brother. Tommy took him right into his bedroom. And guess what? He didn't even introduce this guy to his mother. What? No one realized Jason wasn't dead? Rob came to kill him, but he got killed instead. So much for avenging your sister's death, homie. Dude's down in the basement yelling, he's killing me! Jimbo, it's in limbo, you might not get this chick's pass. Oh yeah, yo, show this girl you can dance. Corkscrews, we lose, Jason's always the winner. Tommy can't save us, right? Look, he's just a beginner. No, this boss was upstairs shaving his head. Picked up the machete, one swing, and Jason's dead. Damn, dude, Jason's dead, sliding down that machete like his head was a sled. The Skeleton Crew. Check this out. Horrorphilia.com, theskeletoncrew.net.
Alex, that was incredible. And
You're a fucking natural.
my favorite line in the entire rap was that reference to Blowjob Betty and Jimmy. Although, to be honest with you, every time I watch that film, I get the feeling that Jimmy never got sucked off by Betty. I mean, it would explain his whiny, bitchy attitude at the very beginning of the film. He's just all whiny and, oh, what was me? Oh, what have I done? And just fucking moaning and pissing about it. But you know what? My man just needed to blow a load. So thank God for that really hot-ass English double McGum twin that he ends up banging at later on in the movie. Say what you will about Jimmy, but he's got good taste in women, aka blonde. Editor's note, everybody, my blind drunk ass thought the twins from Friday the 13th Part 4 were blonde when they were actually dark-haired. That's my bad. I always got blondes on the brain since they're my favorite type. Ever since I was 7 and saw the OG King Kong film with Fay Wray, who, funny enough, wasn't even a real blonde. She actually wore a wig for that movie. And, of course, there's Trish from Friday the 13th Part 4, who has the face of a fucking angel. And, you know what? this character never gets enough credit for being hot as fuck. Mrs. Jarvis, yeah, that's right, the mom from Friday the 13th Part 4. She has pure MILF energy coming out of her pores, I swear to God. And to quote both Mrs. Jarvis and Trish, I'd make a Jarvis sandwich with both of them. And of course, if you don't get what I'm saying, if you haven't seen the movie, what I mean is I'd have sex with both of them at the same time. I just want to make sure there was no confusion. And I just ruined my own joke. Okay, I just wanted to set the record straight. Back to the episode. But hey, that's the way to kick off a show here. Now on to the first segment where I'm going to name my favorite locations in the Friday the 13th franchise from 5 to 1 in ascending order. So here we go. Number 5 is going to be Pinehurst Halfway House from the Friday the 13th Part 5 film A New Beginning.
Ooh, baby. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby.
Honestly, this film is overhated in the series and I'm fucking tired of it. Yes, Jason isn't the killer in the movie, but he wasn't in the first one either, so shut the fuck up. Is it trashier? Yes. Is it sleazier? Yes. But that doesn't necessarily make it bad by itself. You got fun kills, memorable characters, funny moments, great nudity, especially from Debbie Sue Voorhees. Holy shit, when she takes her top off, that shit always has me like, God damn! And the look of Roy as fake Jason is memorable with the blue chevron mask, which stands out on its own, which I always thought was pretty cool. As for the setting itself, I really like the atmosphere of the main house, especially during the last chunk of the movie during the thunderstorm, where Reggie and Pam are fighting the dead bodies, and that orchard in that one area was pretty beautiful. The Friday the 13th game really warmed me up to this location, and it deserves more love, just like the film itself. Number 4 is Forest Green from Part 6. Now, it took me some time to get around to the name change in that movie, but it makes sense behind the rebrand to me, since why the fuck would you want your town to be known as the murder capital in the whole country, possibly the fucking world? It's also something I wish that was leaned on more, which was both Pamela Voorhees and Jason's murders' effect on the town of Crystal Lake and how the residents were impacted. That's one reason I think a TV series has some pretty good potential. I just pray it actually happens. The location itself, especially the cemetery, has some great gothic atmosphere, which fits perfectly for the Friday the 13th series, and the director Tom McLaughlin, or McLaughlin? Whatever the fuck, I cannot pronounce these fucking names. Anyway, Tom did a great job of injecting that Universal Monsters vibe for the movie, which I wish went even further with that and he came back for one more sequel. I love the Universal Monsters as well as Hammer Horror, who are the kings of gothic horror in films. That's exactly what I would love to see in another Friday movie. Now on to number 3, which is Camp Packanack from Friday the 13th Part 2. This was a great location, especially that one scene when all the counselors are on the deck and the camera is slowly panning down the length of it. And you got Jason's shithouse shack, one of the most iconic locations in the fucking series. Just seeing Jason run through the woods with his sack mask on Packanack grounds was just iconic, and that alone earns it a spot on the list. Now on for the last 2 spots on the list. Now, these locations are honestly neck and neck with each other in terms of being my number 1 favorite location of the series, and I constantly flip back and forth for the number 1 and 2 spots respectively, but my feelings as of now for the number 2 spot is going to be this. Number 2 is the Jarvis house and the party house from Friday the 13th Part 4, the not-so-final chapter, which is also my favorite film in the series. In these 2 houses, some of the most memorable moments in the entire series occur at these locations, and of course the lake where the amazing skinny dipping scene occurs, where everyone just says, fuck it, we're all doing this. Not to mention the hospital setting at the beginning of the movie, which was giving me Halloween 2 vibes, which was pretty sweet. The Friday 4 setting was so close to being number 1, but just lost out to one location, which to me just feels so right at number 1, and it's obvious. Now on to the number one location as my favorite setting in the entire series, and that setting is Camp Crystal Lake from the original Friday the 13th film. Now, so I know some people are listening are saying, I'm only picking this one since it's from the original movie, to which I say, get the fuck off my back, because that had fuck all to do with my reasoning. Well, yes, I do heavily appreciate that this is where it all started. The setting itself has this eeriness to it from the lake, the cabins, the fucking woods, especially when it's thunderstorming at night. The scene in the movie where Brenda is hearing what may either be Pamela pretending to be Jason, or possibly even Jason's ghost itself calling out into the night for help, and Brenda is going outside into the pouring rain and thunder, where you hear that ghostly voice calling out for help, is truly the stuff of nightmares. Just listen to it. It's haunting. You also get that archery range, which was another incredible moment in the movie that leads to Brenda's off-screen death. Hell, the beginning of the movie that was set during 1958 when the camp was up and running the year after Jason's drowning, where it's the 4th of July, it's nighttime, the kids are sleeping and the counselors are just chilling in the main cabin playing camp songs while Barry and Claudette, our ill-fated lovers, are giving fuck-me eyes at each other while singing, is burned into my memory, and I absolutely love it.
River of Jordan is deep and wide. Hallelujah. Milk and honey on the other side. Hallelujah.
I love the rendition of Michael Row Your Boat Ashore, and I think of it as a ghostly mantra in the back of my head whenever it's night at Camp Crystal Lake. With the ghostly echoes of the counselors of 58 singing that song, I really want a direct remake of the first movie with the OG Camp Crystal Lake and Pamela Voorhees as the killer. Yeah, sure, it may not be a twist, but who the fuck cares, because it would be great if given the right care. And that is why the original Camp Crystal Lake sits at number one. Now, before I move on to the next segment, I want to name 2 honorable mentions for my favorite locations in the series. First honorable location is a 3-in-1 since it's the overall package of the film, really, and that is the future in space on the Grendel spaceship from Jason X. Something about Jason in space in the future on a spaceship sounds dumb as fuck, but also really cool, and I got a soft spot for horror films set in space. The original Alien will always be the queen of sci-fi horror, but I want to see more horror film icons in space on ships, or alien worlds, or space stations, whatever the fuck, just ruining everyone's life who comes across them. I wouldn't mind seeing a futuristic space set Evil Dead movie and just go crazy with it. Or give me some stupid shit like Ghostface in space, or Leatherface in space. Fuck it, give me Art the Clown in space. They did a Christmas slasher film. Let's get nuts and get a space set one for maybe part 5, which can act as a semi-reboot, since part 4 looks like it's going to end the current storyline with the final confrontation between Sienna and Art. And I honestly have a soft spot for Leprechaun 4 in space. I know everyone shits on that movie, and it's definitely not a good movie by any means, but I'll be damned, I had fun watching it. I mean, they did Pinhead in space and Critters, so it's not like it's so as far-fetched as people think. Ridiculous, perhaps, but not unheard of. Now on to honorable mention 2, and that is Manhattan from Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, what the fuck, how? Yes, I know that they were barely in New York, but just the idea alone by itself is gold. Just imagine all the possibilities of Jason in New York City if given an incredible budget, all the crazy shit he could get into. Hell, even just the individual boroughs of New York City would just be gold. Jason on the Statue of Liberty, Jason throwing some poor bastard off the top of the Empire State Building like he's King Kong, Jason at Madison Square Garden in a boxing ring like the writers and directors wanted for the OG, Jason at the Bronx Zoo, or killing rough street gangs in the alley during some sort of underground fight club like it's Predator 2, Jason on Broadway, Jason in fucking Soho, Jason in Central Park at night, Jason at St. Patrick's Cathedral for some gothic horror, Jason on the Brooklyn Bridge, Jason at Coney Island Beach like the Warriors movie, Jason once again in the middle of Times Square in a recreation of that iconic shot in Part 8. I could keep going until I'm a living husk. The point is, Jason in New York is a great idea, and all the people who think otherwise are fucking brain dead with no imagination whatsoever. Also, if you think Jason in space isn't stupid, but New York is, anything you say is fucking worthless as far as I'm concerned. And this is coming from someone who likes Jason X. At least I admit it's dumb on paper, but it has a lot of potential for fun, and that's all that really matters to me. Well, guys, that's the end of this segment. Let's move on to the next. Alright, for this segment, I'm gonna rattle off my top 13 kills in the entire Friday the 13th franchise, starting from 13 and going up, so here we go. Number 13, Marcy's death via axe to the face from Friday 1. Number 12, Tamara's death with a broken shard glass from Friday 8. Number 11, Joey's death by getting her face elbowed the fuck in like a cartoon character in Friday 9. Number 10, Tina's death from Part 5 with the garden shears to the eyes.
I would drink her milk unpasteurized. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Number 9, Alice's death with an ice pick to the side of the skull in Friday 2. Number 8, Andy's death from Part 3 with an axe to the dick. Holy shit, that was brutal. Number 7, Crispin Glover's death from Part 4 with the corkscrew to the hand plus cleaver to the face combo.
Ted! Hey, Ted, where the hell's corkscrew?
Number 6, Haz's death from Friday the 13th Part 6 with his heart literally ripped out. Jason must love Kano from Mortal Kombat.
Kano wins. You fucking beauty.
Now on to my top 5 favorite kills of the series. Now these in particular were the hardest ones to rank, but I think I managed to get an almost respectable top 5, so here they are. Starting at number 5 is the sleeping bag kill from Part 7. That kill is just fucking brutal, with Jason just taking that chick in the sleeping bag and just breaking her completely against that tree. I also want to give a shout out to the comedic homage they did to that kill from Jason X with the 2 hot naked virtual girls.
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
We love premarital sex.
At number 4 is the cryo freeze kill from Jason X, when Jason freezes that hot blonde's face and then smashes it into a million pieces against the counter like a fucking beast. Holy shit, that was pretty hardcore. Number 3 is a kill so simple, but I'll be damned, it's just so effective. It's the kill from the 2009 reboot, specifically the unrated killer cut of the movie, in which in the beginning, where that asshole Richie is caught in the bear trap and Whitney is trying to free him, he looks over Whitney's shoulder and sees Jason wearing an updated version of his sackhead mask from Part 2 and is just staring him down from about 15 or so feet away, standing by the campfire like a badass. And Jason just sprints over to them and swings his machete and plants that shit into Richie's skull, killing him. And then Jason places his foot on Richie's face and kicks him off the machete like his face was just a piece of dog shit on his boot. It was just incredible. Now, I know the kill is so damn simple, but like I said, it's just effective. Seeing Jason run in the sackhead mask in a more updated form was absolutely perfect, and that is such an underrated kill in the series when you factor in the whole setup. Now on to number 2, which is a kill from Freddy vs. Jason, where Jason kills that abusive boyfriend who was fucking Catherine Isabel. Anyway, the abusive boyfriend's just drinking in the bed, just chilling. Jason walks up with his machete and stabs the absolute fuck out of him. And while the guy is somehow still alive, Jason plants that machete into the floor, grabs both ends of the bed, and literally folds this asshole along with the bed in half. It's fucking awesome. Now, on to my favorite kill of the entire series, and that is going to be part 4, Axel's kill in the morgue, where Jason takes that huge medical saw, starts cutting his throat, then twists this motherfucker's head completely around. Holy shit, that was just a level of brutality I want to see in the next sequel. Now, I want to give 3 honorable mentions since these kills almost made the list, but just got cut. Pun intended. Number 1 is the head squeeze kill from Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D, where Jason pops Rick's eyeball out and it comes flying towards the camera. Cheesy, but 80s fun. Number 2 is the uncut kill of Scott from Friday the 13th Part 2, with Jason slitting his throat with the machete, and in the unrated cut, the amount of blood that comes pouring down his face, getting into his mouth, his nose, his eyes, is just fucking beautiful. It's a damn shame the MPAA fucked with Part 2 and forced the editors to trim all the kills down. Fucking pricks, man, I tell ya. Now, the last honorable mention is going to be another kill that got fucked around with in editing due to forced censorship, is the head-crushing kill from Part 7, where Jason grabs that poor bastard's head in the unrated version, crushes it into the size of a fucking ball with blood pouring out like crazy. That was incredible, and the fact that it was cut out of the movie and we will never get an HD version of that kill is a fucking crime. And it makes me want to take a shit on the desk of whoever was in charge of the MPAA from the years 1979 to 1989. Alright, fuck it. Rant beginning now, guys. Holy shit, I am sick to death of those pricks in discovering the amount of meddling they did with horror films. To paraphrase from the legendary Jim Cornette, God damn you, I hate you motherfuckers, I wish you would just shut the fuck down and your headquarters gets fucking condemned. Your fucking rules were so arbitrary and were outdated even in the 1980s, and I find it funny how these days on cable TV or streaming, I could see people get absolutely fucking destroyed in all types of violent ways, or when it comes to sex, I can watch Lucy Hale get her pussy eaten out like she was the pie in a contest, or watch Kylo Ren blow his load on his girlfriend's chest. And no, I didn't make those up. The Lucy Hale one was great. The Adam Driver one was extremely uncomfortable. But anyway, back to shitting on the MPAA. Just goddamn you. Fuck you. Go away and leave us movie fans to our fucking enjoyment. You outdated and irrelevant motherfuckers. I hate you to this fucking day. I think I need more wine. I'll be right back. While you guys wait for me, here's the audio of Lucy Hale getting eaten out like I just described in the movie Dude. I knew you guys were going to look it up the second I mentioned it, so fuck it, here's the audio of it.
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, fuck me.
Okay.
20 minutes later. I'm back, and I hope you all enjoyed that over-the-top alcohol-induced rant, because I know you all enjoyed the Lucy Hale audio. I know I did.
All right, Mr. Monkey, get your spankings. Now go on.
Whom, speaking of which, I wouldn't mind seeing her in a Friday the 13th movie, since she's done horror films before with that Fantasy Island movie and Truth or Dare, shitty movies in both by Blumhouse Studios, which I always thought of them as being the film production studio equivalent of Nintendo. And what I mean by that is that Blumhouse Studios can and has released truly good and sometimes even great horror films, but they also have a conveyor belt of shit they peddle out each year because they can afford to, since their film budgets are very often on the lower side of things and they always make their money back. It's like I said about Nintendo. They could be the best and worst company at the same time. It's actually kind of impressive, and this gives me an idea. I want to rank Blumhouse horror films in a future episode. Now on to the next segment, which is about this alleged Friday the 13th TV show that's supposed to be coming out. First, right off the bat, I want to say I know very little in regards to a lot of the details of this show. I remember this being announced way back in 2022 with Adrian King coming to play a role, then getting shut down, then revived, and recently it was announced that Linda Cardellini was cast to play a young Pamela Voorhees, which I gotta say is a very interesting choice. Linda is a good actress and I loved her in Scooby-Doo as Velma, so I can't wait to see her go fucking nuts as Mrs. Voorhees. Another thing about her casting, Linda is really fucking hot, and I've joked in the past that I would have fucked Mrs. Voorhees since her craziness is kind of a turn on, but now with Linda Cardellini playing it, everyone is gonna want to fuck Mrs. Voorhees now. I can already see the thirst trap memes online in my head. Aside from her casting, I don't know if Adrian King is still coming back or if they casted anybody else at the moment. Now onto the story itself. It's supposed to take place before the events of the original movie, but here's my question. Do they mean that it's part of the timeline or canon of the OG 1980s films, like how the first Omen was a prequel to the OG Omen movie and ignored the remake and TV show? Will this be set in the 50s around the time of Jason's drowning and when Pamela first kills Barry and Claudette? Or will this TV show basically take the Bates Motel approach where it's in a different timeline and or different continuity than the film series altogether and takes place in the modern day? Or will it be a mixture of both where it's set in the 50s but it does its own thing in regards to the events in its own continuity? I'm leaning towards it's taking the Bates Motel approach because there's nothing online saying it will indeed be a period piece set in the 50s. Another question, how much of Jason's father Elias will play a role in this show, if at all? I feel like they, at the bare minimum, they have to acknowledge him at some point. Now, I know a lot of people, and myself included, who don't want to meet every fucking member of the Voorhees family, like the Halloween movies did with Michael, since we don't need to. But the story of Jason's father and his conception has to be explored in a prequel series like this. Matter of fact, I want to address the whole Jason's dad situation. It's somewhat muddled and fucked up, and it hits a sad topic in particular when it comes to Jason's conception, so I'm going to be as sensitive as possible for a few minutes. Now, in regards to Jason's father, who was given the name Elias in Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, in the scene at the morgue when the mortician is reading Jason's background, he was first brought up in a deleted storyboard / planned scenes for Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, where it's revealed Jason's father, Mr. Voorhees as he's referred to, paid to give both Jason and Pamela a proper burial in the cemetery. That is the extent of him in the film series. In the multiple comic book continuities, Elias is portrayed as being just an abusive piece of shit who beats Pamela and may have even sexually abused her until one day while she was pregnant with Jason, Pamela killed him and covered up his murder. Good fucking riddance if you ask me. Then there's the video game continuity, which adds a whole new piece to the puzzle, which was Elias isn't the biological father of Jason. Jason's biological father was an unknown bastard who straight up raped Pamela when she was about 19, and she shortly met Elias afterwards, married him, and then gave birth to Jason. Here is the audio tape of Pamela giving the backstory to the police shortly after Jason drowned. It's really sad. Take a listen to it.
Mrs. Voorhees, you said Jason was your only child, that's correct?
Jason is my only son.
And his father, deceased since 19...
I don't know. I don't know where he is.
You mean where he's buried, ma'am?
No. I don't know where Jason's father is. I haven't seen him since he...
Let me see that. Mrs. Voorhees, this statement says you are widowed, that your husband is dead.
My husband was killed, but he was not Jason's father.
So you were married before, ma'am?
No, this man did not marry me. We met... It doesn't matter where we met. He held me down by my throat. He forced himself into me. He made me stare into his eyes as he...
Raped you, ma'am?
I tried to stop him.
But he was too strong.
It was his eyes. His eyes were... He had so much hatred. I couldn't stop him.
He'd kill me.
Did you report this?
Pamela, did you ever report him?
What was done was done. It didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered. I just needed to take care of my son. My dear Jason.
Now, personally, while very interesting and tragic, I hope they don't go with that exact interpretation of who's Jason's father for two reasons. One, it's slightly overcomplicating things, especially since just having Elias be the biological father just sounds right to me, and it's a lot simpler. Reason two, and the biggest reason for me personally, is that I already feel so bad for Pamela Voorhees as a tragic character. Please don't put her through that in another continuity with this upcoming TV series. Her life is fucking tragic enough. Please don't do that to her. Now, the things I do want to see for the series are the following. One, a lot of care toward Pamela as a sympathetic character, with the perfect amount of build-up for her tragic turn into a killer. Two, I need to see a lot more of the Christie family running the camp and their own story of financial ruin after Jason's drowning with Pamela sabotaging every reopening attempt. Three, I have to see Pamela's relationship with Steve Christie when he was young, since he would have been around Jason's age, maybe a year or two older doing the math, so he would have been a camper around that time too, so that actually would have been a very interesting storyline to explore. Steve could have been one of Jason's bullies or even have been a friend of his, who knows. Either way, there's a lot of potential there. Four, a careful balance of not showing too much of Jason's drowning, leaving it just ambiguous enough to question it. That is the biggest mystery of the entire series, which is, if Jason drowned, how come he's alive as a grown-ass man in the sequels as the killer? Did he actually survive and was just living in the woods the entire time like a hermit or wild boy? Was there something supernatural about his return? Honestly, I lean toward there was something supernatural going on, so I hope the series leans on that just a little bit, but keeps it ambiguous enough that other natural explanations could be the answer too. That is a really tricky tightrope to cross, so I'll give them some leeway. Last thing I want confirmed is that the counselors who were supposed to watch Jason when he was drowning but were fucking each other instead, I want them to be confirmed as being Barry and Claudette from the original Friday the 13th movie, so they look less sympathetic in the scheme of things, where if it was them, then 1 year later they have learned absolutely nothing and didn't give a fuck about being responsible for Jason's alleged drowning. It would just put them in an even worse light. It also would make the Christies look kind of shitty for rehiring those two the following year despite their insane fuck-up. I would find that very interesting, and it would make Pamela even more sympathetic for killing them. Let me pivot from the series and talk about a few Friday the 13th movie ideas that were tossed around over the years, either from Paramount or New Line, the fan base, or myself. I'm not going to go too deep into them since that deserves its own episode altogether, but I will briefly state the idea of the Friday the 13th movie and give my thoughts on the idea. Short, sweet, and to the point. Starting off with the Paramount era, one of the earliest ideas was to have the series be an anthology with a new unrelated story altogether, with the only common thread being the Friday the 13th holiday. Honestly, I love the idea of a yearly anthology horror film series, but ultimately glad we got Jason as the killer for this series itself. Funny enough, the Halloween film franchise actually did try this with Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and I absolutely fucking love that movie. People were hating on it so unfairly, it's fucking astounding, honestly. Hell, my own mother, God rest her soul, refused to even finish the damn movie with me when I tried to get her to watch it. We got about several minutes in and she asked me, where's Michael and when's he gonna show up? And I explained to her Halloween 3 is its own thing without Michael, and she immediately says, turn this shit off and put on Halloween 4. Now, I love my mom, but holy fuck was she missing out. Tom Atkins is the fucking man in that movie. He's just this alcoholic doctor who's this crusty-looking, late 40s schlubby guy with a porn stash who somewhat neglects his kids and gets chewed out by his bitchy ex-wife, and he gets wrapped up in this bizarre conspiracy because he wants to fuck this really hot 20-year-old college girl whose father was murdered on Tom's watch. And the best part? He does multiple times, even sucking on her titties in one scene like he's Homelander on Firecracker from The Boys TV show. Fucking brilliant.
Look at your titties. How much do those cost you? How about you pull that shirt down and let me bomb for some titties? Oh.
Sir, what are you teaching your kid?
Well, I'm not teaching him. Look, he's not my kid. I'm babysitting him, and I would never tell him to do something so rude like that to you. Hey, asshole, what are you doing? She's got 2 titties. One for me, one for you. Let's get after it.
I gotta cover that movie someday, maybe for my Summerween special I'm planning for June 22nd. We shall see. Anyway, another idea for Friday the 13th was a direct sequel to Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. And multiple ideas were tossed around with Tina and Nick being attacked by Jason in the hospital. Another with Tina being released from a mental asylum and becoming a psychologist helping another girl with her abilities. And another dumbass one by the guy that played Nick that revealed Part 7 was bullshit. He was the killer and he ends up killing Tina. That last one sounds like complete dog shit, but I personally like the second one, with Tina being a psychologist helping another girl like her. It does kind of sound almost like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, which actually does seem interesting. Then there was the canceled sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, which was going to be Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash from freaking Evil Dead, which would have came around 2005 if it got fast-tracked. Honestly, this would have been fucking incredible, and I'm pissed to this day we got robbed of that idea. We ended up getting a comic book adaptation and a sequel to that, and they were amazing. Bruce Campbell could have 100% done it. I mean, hell, he came back to the role of Ash Williams a decade later when he was like 57, 58 for the Ash vs. Evil Dead TV show, and he still had it in him, so him playing Ash when he was 10 years younger probably would have been a walk in the park in comparison. One idea that over the years I've gotten more and more positive towards was a found footage style Friday the 13th film. Now, I know a lot of people hate on the found footage subgenre, but there's some gems out there. You just have to wade through a lot of shit first. The biggest obstacle for a found footage Friday the 13th movie would be the structure of the story and kill scenes, but I truly think it could work and even be outright scary if you get someone who knows what they're doing to make it. Maybe even make it set in the early 1980s with some Super 8 cameras and Jason has his sackhead mask. That would be fucking unnerving to see in old Super 8 footage. Or at the very least, split it and have it be a mixture of a normal Friday the 13th movie with found footage segments. Maybe 65% regular format and 35% found footage. That actually could be interesting. Now, here's one of my ideas for a Friday the 13th movie. I would set it in December 13th, 1991. A real Friday the 13th, by the way, I checked. It would take place 1 year after the events of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Since I looked up the timeline of where that film takes place, and a lot of the consensus online seems to put it in the year 1990, which I know the fan wiki also gives that year, so that's what I'm going to go with my timeline for the Friday movie. It would be winter in the holiday season at Camp Crystal Lake with snow and ice covering everything and Xmas decorations at the rented out cabins for some college students who are planning to spend a weekend together for the holidays before scattering to the four winds to be with their families for Christmas. And Jason is back and we're all gonna witness a real sleigh ride as he fucks shit up with the classic Harry Manfredini score, just more Christmassy, and a few mandatory licensed Christmas songs along the way. I absolutely love Christmas horror films, and I think that would be awesome for Friday the 13th to tackle. After all, if they can have Jason literally rise from the grave, fight a telekinetic girl, go to Manhattan, become a demon worm to possess people, go to space, fight Freddy Krueger, then a winter set Crystal Lake right before Christmas on Friday the 13th isn't far-fetched at all. The fact that the movies haven't done a winter set Friday the 13th movie is fucking astounding, and we've only seen that in fan films. Just think of all the possibilities for the kills with the snow being splattered with blood, and a dark, cold, snowy atmosphere where when the shit hits the fan, instead of the usual thunderstorm to kick off the final act bloodbath, it could be a blizzard, which could cut off any help or escape. And of course, I mentioned the Christmas lights to really set a mood. And I remember Alex Edwards from the Skeleton Crew, now Dead Man's Party, discussing how there's not enough early 90s set horror movies, since everybody these days, when doing a period piece for horror, they do either the 80s or the 70s, or on the rare occasion when they do the 90s, they rarely get it right. Alex is a fucking legend, okay? And I can't tell you how much I love listening to every single show he's been on, whether it was during the Rabbit and Red days, Banana Laser, The Skeleton Crew, aka the greatest horror podcast to ever be put on this fucking planet.
I love that shit. I play that shit in my fucking sleep. I wake up to it and I brush my teeth to it.
And now Dead Man's Party, where he's branching out of horror to cover other genres like action, comedy, sci-fi, and fantasy. Everything this guy touches or is involved with is fucking gold, and you can't convince me otherwise. Alright, let me calm down and stop sucking him off.
Never!
Now, let me get into the final segment where I do flash reviews of the New Line Friday the 13th movies consisting of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, aka Friday the 13th Part 9. Holy fuck, then. That fucking movie. Okay. Then Jesus Christ. Then I'll do Jason X. Then finally Freddy versus Jason. Now, to be clear, these aren't going to be full reviews by any means, since I'm going to be doing actual dedicated episodes to those movies in the series later in the future. It's just going to be a flash review, meaning I'm going to talk about each movie for roughly 5 to 7 minutes, listing positives and negatives, just to give you my overall thoughts of the movie as a whole. When I get to Freddy vs. Jason, I'm going to warn everybody in advance. I may dedicate a whole minute just being a thirsty son of a bitch for the character Laurie, played by Monica Keena. Oh my fucking lord. Sorry, I need to take a breath for that one. Starting off with Jason Goes to Hell, which released in 1993 and was directed by Adam Marcus. The film's story is that Jason gets blown up by the FBI doing a Camp Crystal Lake search and destroy mission, and his body is taken to the morgue, upon which his disembodied heart ends up hypnotizing the morgue guy, who then becomes possessed by Jason. No, really, he does. Swear to God, I'm not making this up. Who proceeds to body hop from person to person until he can find one of his remaining blood family members, who consist of a sister we never heard of, it was never mentioned by Mrs. Voorhees, a young mid-20s adult niece who does fuck all in the movie until the end, and her baby who's essentially a plot device as a means for Jason to get his body back, which he does for the final 10 minutes of the fucking movie by crawling up the vagina of his dead sister's corpse that was in the Voorhees home during the final battle, where he ends up getting dragged down into hell by demon hands after getting stabbed by the Kandarian dagger from the Evil Dead franchise, leaving his hockey mask only for that to be dragged down into hell by the finger glove of Freddy Krueger, finally saying that a fight between him and Jason is coming. Wow. There's a lot of stupid shit to unpack there alone.
Alright, let's get this shit over with. Hey, calm down on the flash photography. I'm hungover as shit.
Okay, I'm back, and I literally had to take a break and just sleep it off because the stupidity of the movie was just overwhelming. But it's morning now, so here we go. Okay, Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. The not-so-final Friday. I always get a laugh out of fucking titles like that say it's the final one of the series, and then a couple years later, bam, reboot or sequel. Putting final in a title these days is fucking worthless. Now, I'm going to say some positive things before I get into some negatives. One thing I really love is the opening of the movie, where you got this smoking hot, long-haired brunette woman pulling up to Camp Crystal Lake all alone. She sets up her shit in a cabin. She heads to the shower and strips down to her underwear and bra. And she's wearing those early 90s high-waisted panties that really made women's legs look long back in the day. And it really emphasizes her ass, which looks fucking amazing. Like, I always thought that style was always hot and it should make a comeback for women. Anyway, she then gets naked, so she's about to get into the shower when the lights go out, and Jason then proceeds to attack her, where she leads him outside the cabin where, boom, floodlights hit Jason, and he's completely surrounded by a shit ton of FBI agents in full gear, and they just start blasting the absolute fuck out of this guy, and eventually blowing him up. A little over the top, but hey, at least they finally wised up, holy shit. This was such an awesome way to start a Friday the 13th movie, but the problems immediately start after this immediately awesome opening, and it's where they go from then on. Holy shit. The whole possessing people thing was such a bizarre route to go in, and I have one positive thing to say about it. You see, guys, my headcanon for Friday the 13th Part 5 was that Roy, who was the killer pretending to be Jason, was being possessed by Jason himself, which could explain his strength and durability shown in the movie. Although it was way more subtle in comparison to the approach for this film, if that actually was the case. I'm not entirely against more supernatural things with Jason. I admit the concept of Jason possessing people, while stupid, could also be done well, or a hell of a lot better than done here. To me, it should have been more heavily influenced, as if it's a voice in the victim's head, urging them to kill, just like the child Jason did for Mrs. Voorhees in the original Friday the 13th movie. More of an influence than a direct, obvious, Jason is controlling their bodies like a puppet. Or some stupid shit where you can only see Jason's real self when it's a reflection in the mirror or water. It's fucking stupid. They never really explained that either, by the way. Let me think. Another positive. Fuck me, I'm really struggling to think of positive things for this movie. Oh, okay, I got a positive right here. The tent kill with the couple fucking each other's brains out. That was probably not only one of the best it was the best kill in the movie. It was probably the best sex scene in the entire Friday the 13th series. And yes, I'm putting this sex scene over the one from the reboot. I know some people are going to raise eyebrows about that, but honestly, I vibe with this one more. It felt more realistic compared to the reboot, where I feel like the reboot was going for a much more comical sex scene, but the tent scene in this movie actually felt like passion, and they were really just, it really felt like they were fucking, which, funny story, if I recall correctly, they were actually a couple in real life, and they just broken up right before they had to shoot this sex scene, so that is kind of funny. Let me see, another positive. Fuck me. Joey B from the diner. As annoying as she was also kind of funny for being kind of a really bitchy character. And her death getting her fucking face caved in with that elbow was hilarious. Little cartoony, but I actually kind of like that. One other positive, I kind of like Steve as the main character, where they set him up as he's kind of an asshole for abandoning his girlfriend and unborn child at the time, I'm assuming, who comes back and he's just trying desperately to save them, which everybody else except for the kid from the diner who gives him the car keys, everybody else and maybe Diana is just dismissive of him, which, to be fair, I mean, it's like, well, you abandoned your wife and kid or girlfriend, whatever the fuck that situation was. So you can't really blame them for being dismissive in the first place. So it is what it is. This next one is both a positive and a negative. The whole Jason possibly being a Deadite thing was introduced in this movie, with the Necronomicon being in the Voorhees household and the Kandarian dagger used to kill him toward the end. Now, that is both really fucking stupid, but at the same time, deep down, part of me does kind of find it admittingly interesting from a really stupid point of view, but it was just unnecessary, to be honest with you guys. I didn't even script this whole segment at all. I just wanted to get this shit over with. I'm desperately trying to find as many positives as possible with this film. I mean, I can think more negatives than I can positive. Holy shit. Any other positives? Oh my god. Now I truly know what Alex Edwards was feeling like when he first did the Friday the 13th Part 9 retrospective. I think that shit was only 17 minutes when they first did it. He did not want to do that shit. I can't really blame him. I didn't even bother writing down or typing down anything I was going to say for this movie in particular. I'm just freehanding this thing right now. That's why I'm just having a lot of awkward pauses. And, oh my god, you know what? Fuck it. Let me just get to the negatives, because this is just killing me and this is fucking painful. First negative, the whole entire fucking movie was a misfire. I'm sorry. I know Adam Marcus was like a young college kid, or he just got out of college. It was his first major film, whatever. But holy fuck, he needed more of a experienced director on set with him to kind of point him in the better direction. I know Sean Connery had to do some of the movie and finish it off because apparently it was just a fucking mess. The whole Jason not being in the entire fucking movie and just possessing people, that was the stupidest decision that honestly kills most of the movie for me. Now, if they would have kept it in that one segment, it could have just been one what the fuck moment for the movie, but kind of funny, and just moved on with Jason getting his body within the first 30 minutes again. I would have been fine with that. But holy shit, the idea of him not being in the movie and just getting it in the last, 10 minutes? And I know Adam Marcus on the commentary, or the, the fucking documentary, he just said he wanted to feel like a big gift at the end of the movie. Holy fuck. Just getting Jason back, that is just so fucking stupid. I can't even wrap my brain around that. Now, the whole Necronomicon thing being in the Voorhees household, without any explanation whatsoever, we're just supposed to put together the pieces by ourselves. I know a lot of fans, and I think some extended material was made saying that somehow had something to do with Jason being resurrected. Oh my God, I can't talk. Resurrected in the first place. But honestly, on one hand, it's interesting, and I think the Friday the 13th Vengeance movie, that fan film that came out a couple of years ago, went with that route. On one hand, I think that does have some merit to it as an idea. On the other hand, for this film, it was a fucking letdown. Another negative, the hot FBI chick that lured Jason out in the beginning of the movie, she should have came back, because aside from her and that one tent scene, there's really not any female characters to root for. What the fuck was that? Oh, my shit's falling apart all over here. Anyway, there's no female characters to root for this fucking movie. The main chick, Jessica, she's a nothing character. They do fuck all with her. I mean, until the very end, all she does is stab Jason. They give her the kill, and that felt kind of unjustified, to be honest with you. Meanwhile, fucking Steve is getting his shit wrecked and trying to fight Jason desperately. And she just pops in at the end and just gives the final killing blow, and that shit felt unearned. I'm sorry. I didn't give a fuck about her character. I don't even care to talk about her anymore. Fuck her. And as for the baby, honestly, what the fuck were they doing with that? That was just a possibility of Jason being reborn through the baby, which would have been really fucking stupid. That again, what they end up doing with Jason crawling up his sister's snatch, I kid you not, I swear to God, that actually does happen. His little demon worm, bat, whatever the fuck he is, monster crawls up his sister's pussy to be reborn. I swear to God, for those of you who have not seen this movie, that actually does happen. Have I mentioned she's a corpse? I think I did mention that. Yeah. So that happens. Oh, and he's reborn fully grown with his clothes from the beginning of the movie with his fucking hockey mask on. There was no thought whatsoever behind that. One last thing I want to say about this movie. The whole Creighton Duke character, which could have been interesting, they don't explain shit about his character. Apparently in the extended behind the scenes material, he has a beef with Jason going back over decades ago, with Jason apparently killing his girlfriend some time ago, way back in the day, and they don't explain fuck all why he has this beef with Jason in the movie. You literally have to look it up. It's just so fucking stupid. And how the hell does he have all this information about Jason and his entire bloodline? That is so fucking stupid. I cannot wrap my head around that either. So, in conclusion, because I really just want to move on and actually have a good segment, because this segment was a fucking misfire altogether. I didn't even bother, like I said, typing down anything with this. I'm all freehanding. I'm just scrambling to think what to say with this fucking shit pile of a movie. Oh my God. Anyway, overall, the only thing I would recommend seeing for this movie is the first 10 minutes where Jason gets blown the fuck up for the naked hot FBI chick. That whole scene actually felt like something that belongs in a Friday the 13th movie. Look up the tent scene with the couple screwing each other's heads off in that kill. And the only other scene I can recommend watching is when Jason is dragged down to hell and Freddy Krueger's glove pops up from the ground and drags his hockey mask down with him. In conclusion, fuck this movie. Let's just move on because I can't fucking stomach this anymore.
I think this movie is giving me AIDS. I think if I took a blood test right now, I would test positive for AIDS.
Now on to a Friday the 13th movie that I can actually muster genuine enthusiasm and love for and have enough care to not just say fuck it and not bother to actually give a shit about the quality of this segment. That was just fucking painful for me to get through, guys. I cared so little for Jason Goes to Hell as a Friday the 13th installment. I didn't write any of my thoughts for a script whatsoever because I just could not fucking bother. And the sad part is, if that movie wasn't a Friday the 13th movie, I would actually kind of love it since I'm into silly, stupid-ass Monster B horror films. That's what I have to do the next time I watch it, pretend it's not Friday the 13th, and just ignore every reference to the series. But finally, I'm going to move on to the next installment, Jason X, aka Jason in the Future in Space on a Ship. Let's go. Alright, positives first. I love the overall campiness of this movie where it truly knows what it is and doesn't have any false pretenses whatsoever. The creators were just trying to have fun and entertain people, and I truly respect that. Alright, here's another tangent and rant now. I roll my fucking eyes when creators try to get all uppity and try to make a movie more than what it is without any sense of self-awareness whatso-fucking-ever. It's fucking stupid. I fully admit I love popcorn garbage food movies and I'm not ashamed of it. Well, at least on the surface. At least they're honest for what they are. Now, let me be clear. I love films too that are genuine masterpieces like Alien, The Exorcist, and of course, Jaws. I remember I was at work, alright, listening to these people on YouTube give hot takes for horror films, and this is a more recent thing I love doing just because I know I'm going to get from one extreme to the other. I'm going to go from agreeing wholeheartedly to very quickly disagreeing so hard I almost come back around to fucking agreeing. Anyway, I was listening to this one group of YouTubers giving their horror film hot takes. And one take I personally thought was so terrible, I said, what the fuck, out loud at work. And one of my coworkers was asking me what's up and looking at me like I'm a fucking whack job. Which, to be fair, I am a whack job, so they weren't wrong. But anyway, the hot take was this. This motherfucker had the fucking balls to not only insult The Exorcist, calling it boring, overrated, and saying this upcoming one by Mike Flanagan is gonna blow it out of the water.
What the fuck did you just assault my ears with?
Are you fucking kidding me? Get fucked, my guy. But the icing on the cake is this brain-dead son of a bitch had the audacity, the fucking gall, to say Jaws isn't a great movie.
Those words, is it possible to use them in a sentence together like that?
Hold me back before I beat the bricks off this walking apology from the abortion clinic.
Are you out of your fucking mind? Were you dropped on your fucking head? Somebody had to have paid you actual money for you to open your fucking troglodyte mouth and shit out that verbal diarrhea brain-dead fucking opinion. Yes, I know everybody has an opinion, and that's their right, but goddamn, if your opinion is that fucking stupid, I'm gonna respond with my honest fucking opinion of myself of your shit take. Thank you, fuck you, bye. Alright, I'm back after crashing the fuck out and I settled down to get back to the show. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, Jason X positives, where I left off saying it's a movie that knows what it is. Another positive I like is the whole futuristic setting in the spaceship, which was pretty damn cool. And that virtual reality game that Todd Farmer and that other what's-his-nuts guy, I can't fucking remember his name, they were playing kind of made me think of the Doom video game series, which was pretty nice. Another positive was I actually really dig Jason's look in the film, particularly his cyborg or Uber form after the nanomachines heal and rebuild him. His pre-cyborg look was not too bad, although I feel like if they were going to have Jason have hair in this one, they should have put more effort into resembling Part 2 Jason, where he looked like a wild beast man living in the woods. Another positive was the final girl, Rowan. She was very likable and believably tough. She's also absolutely stunning. She has such a beautiful face, and early in the movie when she's laying down in the nanobed healing machine, when she's stripped down to her underwear, that had everybody, especially myself, just giving a collective... I just wish she came back, which is one of the best things you could say about a character. Another positive is the soundtrack was really great and vibed with the movie. And one last big positive I want to mention is the virtual reality Camp Crystal Lake scene where the remaining crew members of the ship need to buy some time. So they get Jason into the VR game room and they load up Camp Crystal Lake with old school Harry Manfredini music. And the best part was the two hot virtual camp counselor girls who immediately take their tops off in front of Jason while delivering these amazing lines.
Hey, you want a beer?
Or do you want to smoke some pot?
Or we can have premarital sex.
We love premarital sex.
That short Asian, possibly Hispanic girl, I can never fucking tell. Anyway, she was fucking hot.
She was hot as shit. I'm talking hot as shit.
Funny and fucked up thing is, once VR becomes that advanced, you know in your heart of hearts that people are going to be doing some weird freaky shit with that. You just know it. I can picture myself with a VR room right now.
You like this dick now? You love this dick.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. It's your favorite dick, right?
That's my favorite.
Yeah. That's your large.
Oh, yes, it's large.
Yep, that's it. That's in your chest.
Yes, it's in my
You feel it in your
chest.
chest.
Oh, my God.
God. But you believe in Satan, right?
Hell, Satan. Hell, Satan.
Yeah, say the alphabet backwards, bitch.
See?
Say the alphabet backwards. Okay, shut up, bitch.
Okay.
I give you this dick, you gonna walk my shark?
Yes, baby, I'm gonna walk your shark.
Yeah? And then you gonna build a spaceship.
I'm gonna build a spaceship.
Gonna build that motherfucking spaceship?
Oh.
Come.
Oh, come, baby.
Shut up, bitch. Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna come all in this pussy.
Oh, Satan.
And after I come in this pussy, you gonna have a baby. You gonna make your husband raise it.
Okay.
Yeah, that about sums it up. I gotta give this shout out to Long Beach Griffey. That was who you guys were just listening to, a popular comedic YouTuber who does these fucking hilarious skits. Everybody go check him out. He's amazing. Anyway, back onto the negatives for Jason X, which, to be honest, I personally have very few, and the only ones I can think of is, well, for one, I wish the tone was a little darker, and we got at least one sequence that was more closely resembling horror. This movie wasn't scary at all, and yeah, I know you can argue that about the last few couple of films in the series, but those were at least trying to be somewhat scary, and parts 1 through 5 were genuinely true horror films, whatever the fuck you want to say, in the sense that they were prioritizing scares over laughs, which Jason X does the opposite, I feel. Another negative, I wish the film gave us more Rowan, particularly when it comes to knowing her personally and her story. I also think it's kind of strange that she literally wakes up in the future when everybody she knows in her life is long dead. And she doesn't really get a chance to react to that. If that was me, I would be fucked up and completely lost. Aliens did it right in the extended cut of the film where Ripley reacts to losing her daughter to time, and it was fucking heartbreaking. And another thing is, wasn't just her family that was lost to time, or the people of her time, but the fucking planet. The original Earth is an abandoned fucking wasteland, and the movie never explores that whatsoever. Now, I know it's a fucking slasher film that needs to keep a tight pace, but I truly wish this film was instead a mini-series that's consisted of maybe 4 parts, each 1 hour. Hell, they could have did 2 movies worth of material with that. Maybe in the last 2 parts explore Jason's adventures on Earth 2. God, that's a stupid fucking name. And the crew go to New Earth to stop him. I don't know, something, for fuck's sakes. But aside from those negatives, I really don't have anything truly bad to say about the movie. I know it's not exactly what the franchise started out as, but you know what? It knows what it is, it's fun, and that's all it fucking has to be. And I think they succeeded in giving us a good installment into the Friday the 13th franchise. The movie also succeeded in getting the taste of ass out of my mouth that was left over from Friday the 13th Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Holy fuck. Now that's all for Jason X. Now into the final micro review with a film that was 16 years in the making, Freddy vs. Jason. Positives first, the slight campiness of the movie made perfect sense to me given where both franchises were at that point. And it kind of made me think of Scooby-Doo when the kids were in the van, which is directly acknowledged and joked about. Now, I know a lot of people wanted the movie to be darker, and while admittingly I think that could have been great, if not even better for the movie, I'm personally perfectly satisfied with the tone that we got. Speaking of which, I think Robert Englund hits a much better balance of being over-the-top campy and dark compared to Nightmare 4, 5, and For the Love of Christ 6. Oh my god, he is a fucking cartoon in Part 6, but I'll get to that when I eventually cover the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Now, for this film, he doesn't hit the level of darkness from the first 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies, especially with how dark he was in Part 2, which is my favorite film in the series. Yes, there are some moments where he goes overboard, but I mean, it's a fucking crossover film for fuck's sakes, so I think we can make an exception for those. Here's some audio clips of Freddy Krueger and his over-the-top moments in Freddy vs. Jason.
Not strong enough yet. Well, I will be soon enough. Until then, I'll let Jason have some fun. She's mine! 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 Oh, no! Tilt. Lock your nose! It's not my fault this bitch is dead on her feet.
One more positive thing I want to say about Freddy in this movie is he does get pretty fucking dark. One example being in the beginning when the movie opens with showing Freddy pre-Dream Demon when he was just a normal human serial killer. He has this innocent little girl huddled in fear against the wall in his boiler room where he just straight up fucking kills her, and the next cut is Freddy adding her photo to his album of little kids he murdered. And oh my god, when he licks the photo, he activated my fucking fight response, and it makes me sick of my stomach at the very obvious implication, which leads me to my next point. The film makes it sparkling clear that Freddy isn't just murdering kids, he's a fucking sexual predator. And towards the end of the movie, he straight up tries to rape Laurie, which I feel like nobody really acknowledges that whenever they review the movie. Like, every time I hear a podcast and they talk about Freddy vs. Jason, they keep emphasizing how campy Freddy is, but they never acknowledged his very fucked up and dark moments that are like something straight out of Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 2, and 3 Freddy. And how come no one ever brings up the fact that he straight up tries to assault Laurie? No one ever acknowledges that. I feel like it's just a blink, okay, that happened, and then move on. That's it. Which, honestly, this brings it back to what Freddy was always meant to be and what he was in the first 3 movies. An evil, sick monster who you're not supposed to root for at all. It honestly blows my fucking mind. People shit on the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, which they should, to be fair, when the reason is this. Oh, they made Freddy a child molester / rapist. When, if they could read the subtext of the early movies and avert evidence in parts 5 in this movie, Freddy vs. Jason, I think, what fucking movies have you been watching? He was always a fucking sexual predator. How is this news to anybody?
Man's a diddler.
But anyway, my point is that in spite of the over-the-top campy moments, Freddy does get some real dark moments, and the film does bring Fred back to his roots. With that, I think it's great, and we need more of dark Fred Krueger. Another positive being Jason in the movie. Jason was great and he really served his purpose as being just a fucking killing machine. And Ken Kersinger is one imposing motherfucker standing at 6'5", but with those thick ass boots Jason is wearing in the movie, he's at least 6'8", which gives me real Frankenstein monster vibes. And I love this version of Jason for that. I know people bitch and moan about this Jason being scared of water and that whole situation, since, yes, I'm aware he's been in the water multiple times in previous films. But you know what? I honestly chalk it up to nightmare logic where Jason's subconscious mind holds that fear, which allowed Freddy to exploit it. So it really doesn't bother me as much as it used to anymore. Overall, while not my favorite version of Jason, this Jason has really grown on me over time, and ultimately, he served the story they wanted to tell just fine. Another positive, the amount of blood flying is incredible, with the biggest standout scenes being the cornfield rave, where Jason is just fucking annihilating those high schoolers, and the final battle between Freddy and Jason. Blood is flying fucking everywhere, and it's fucking orgasmic. Speaking of coming, I want to talk about the final girl, Laurie, played by Monica Keena in this movie. Let me tell you guys this. Okay. Let me make this sparkling clear, so there's not a shadow of a doubt on my feelings about the character of Laurie. Laurie is without a doubt the fucking hottest girl in both the Friday the 13th franchise and the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Everything about her, from her voice, her beautiful face, her fucking body, god damn, fucking perfect. She's blonde, which is like an extra 100 points for me since blondes are my favorite. And to steal a quote from the future Friday reboot that came out about 5 or 6 years after this, her fucking tits are stupendous.
I would drink her milk unpasteurized. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Oh my god, I can't believe I stole a quote from that fucking moron from that movie. Great movie, though. But anyway, back to Monica Keena's tits. So, every scene that this woman is in, her chest is about to burst out of her shirt every fucking scene. I thought I was watching a Hammer horror film, which is fucking great too. And finally, when she's in that nightgown at the end, at the final nightmare sequence, oh my god. And if that wasn't enough, the scene shortly afterwards when Freddy is leering over her, about to stab the shit out of her, whatever the fuck, and the camera is just pointed down at her. Her fucking tits are taking up 1/3 of the screen in that nightgown. Holy fucking shit. That shit just had me like,
sweet Jesus.
Excuse me while I whip this out. Clear.
okay. Now that I got that out of my system, I mean that in multiple ways. Aside from her being physically attractive, the character of Laurie tends to get shit on, which I feel is kind of unfair, and I chalk that up to poor writing and some of the dialogue choices. She was sweet, cared about her friends, and she was very likable to me. Honestly, as far as final girls go, for this movie, I think she did just fine. She isn't the best in either series by any means, but she's solid in her own right. Also, she got to cut Freddy Krueger's head off with the machete of Jason Voorhees. That's honestly something no other final girl in either franchise can say, so that really boosts her up a lot. Now, very quickly, let me say some negatives in my overall feelings on the movie. One negative is part of me still does admittingly wish they went just a little darker with the tone, which is something that I do get in some scenes and wish the whole movie kept that vibe. Another thing is, I wish the movie had a bit more balance when it comes to representing both franchises, since this really feels like a Nightmare on Elm Street film that co-stars Jason. I wish we had a bit more of Mrs. Voorhees. I wish we could have explored more of Jason's past films more, and maybe even get a legacy character from both series to make an appearance. Also, real quick to back it up a second, no disrespect to the woman that portrayed her in the film. She did a fine job, but I truly wish Betsy Palmer played Mrs. Voorhees one last time before she died. Honestly, it's a fucking shame we'll never get to see that again. Although, I gotta give it to Paula Shaw, who played Mrs. Voorhees in this movie, some credit, because she is truly going for it in the resurrection of Jason scene, which was fucking epic. Take a listen to it.
Why
Jason. My special, special boy. Do you know what your gift is? No matter what they do to you, you cannot die. You can never die. You've just been sleeping, honey. But now, the time has come to wake up. Mommy has something she wants you to do. I need you to go to Elm Street. The children have been very bad on Elm Street. Rise up, Jason! Your work isn't finished! Hear my voice and live again!
The last negative is ultimately the timing of the movie. I honestly believe a better time to have made a Freddy vs. Jason movie would have been between the years of 1989 and I'm going to say 1992, where they both would have been at the peak of their franchise's popularity around the time of their releases. Then, in this timeline of events, Jason Goes to Hell doesn't have to fucking happen, or is at least very different, and we still get Jason X and Freddy gets his new Nightmare film. I pray to fucking Lord that Nightmare on Elm Street 6 doesn't exist in this fucking timeline, and I think a lot of people would agree with that sentiment. The only thing that I truly miss from this version of Freddy vs. Jason would be Monica Kena's Laurie for, well, you know why. Obvious reasons.
God help me, how do I fuck this girl? She's looking sexy and voluptuous and stuff. Make you want to act up, get naughty in this bed.
But now on to my overall feelings of the movie. To sum it up simply as possible, I love it. It's flawed. It's bloody. It gets wild as fuck. And it's ultimately the best crossover we could have gotten in the early 2000s between both characters. I loved watching it, and I still do to this day. And maybe someday they will meet again, both Freddy and Jason, on the big screen. I got my fingers crossed. Well, guys, this is the end of the show. I bet you all were thinking, thank the fucking Lord, I'm tired of hearing this guy's voice. You were all saying the same thing that Ethel was saying to Junior.
Would you shut the fuck up?
I hope you all had a blast listening to my 2025 Friday the 13th special. I had fun making it and acting insane. Well, let's be honest. In my case, only moderately more insane than I am in real life. This has been Adam the Movie Guy, and I'll see you next episode.